friends. But they're not. Oh, that's the good stuff. And then we get to choose who we let into our weird little worlds. You're not perfect, sport. And let me save you the suspense. This girl you met, she isn't perfect either. But the question is whether or not you're perfect for each other. That's the whole deal. That's what intimacy is all about.
Why don't you love me, Jenny? I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is.
Hey, out.
What easy way? There is no easy way. No matter what I do, somebody gets hurt.
Would you stop thinking about what everyone wants? Stop thinking about what I want, what he wants, what your parents want. What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want?
I keep coming back to you. Ooh, I keep coming back. You put me through hell, but I just can't stay mad at you. Know me so well, but you don't even have a clue that I'm the one that cares the most. And
Yeah.
Oh, God. Hey, everybody. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. This is actually what I would call our official launch. And although it's not on time, yeah, I like that motto, Randy. There you
Thank
go.
you, Randy, for waiting for more than 10 minutes for us.
So it's like I get one thing worked out and then another bug starts to happen. So
Yeah, he wanted to add polka dots. That's what the bug was.
yeah. Actually, if it would have been just that, I'd be okay with it. So last night I was building out my production just real quick, and then for some reason or another, it just like literally everything just got clusterfucked, and I don't know what the hell happened. But like all my scenes got messed up. I had to rework all of them. So then I got that figured out, and then we go live, and then I had set it up to stream to 2 Facebook pages, one to our group, or excuse me, one to our Unwrap Love page, which actually it's working. That's great. I love that. We just don't have a lot of people watching. Your
Yeah.
sound worked out. What?
You still have to get your sound worked out. You can't hear us very well.
Hold on. Oh God. Oh, let's see.
Everything's turned up.
No.
No, something's
Now
not.
it's working. God, I hate that my computer does that.
It does it.
It does it. Computer. Okay, my computer picks up the audio to my Ecamm Virtual, and I need to change that. I need to turn that off right now because that is why it literally.
So make a note of that you need to do
Yes.
that every single time.
Well, I can just turn it off now.
And then it'll stay off indefinitely.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't have an off button.
Okay. Well, I'll figure it out. It's okay. We're all good.
Okay, good.
All right. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us. This is our new show called Unwrap Love.
Tongue twister.
It's a tongue twister, but we're working on it. This is a constant work in progress. So this is what we've been doing for the last couple of weeks. And if you guys have been lucky enough to join us while we were doing a couple live streams and just supposed to be getting the kinks worked out. It's like more kinks come up, but that's okay. That's just how life. It's a mirror of life.
Yeah.
When you think everything's perfect, it's not. So just be prepared for the unexpected. But first of all, I would like to introduce myself. If you don't know who I am, my name is Gabe Leal. I am a live stream strategist, content creator, father, brother, and now romantic partner to a beautiful woman sitting next to me. Other than that, I really don't. I mean, you guys have been here for the 4 years that I've been doing this, but if not, hopefully you guys will be warmed by what we have going on here in these next couple of weeks. And how long, I don't know, but we will figure that out as we go along. But I would love to introduce the beautiful woman sitting next to me, and I will just let her give herself a little bit of introduction as well. So everybody here kind of gets familiar with who this wonderful, wonderful woman is sitting next to me.
Hi,
Hey,
baby.
baby.
Okay, so I'm Yvette Richardson. I teach. I'm a high school teacher. I teach sociology and psychology. Majored in psychology, and now I'm mastering in sociology. So those are kind of my expertise. I never really thought of myself as an expert, but we were having this conversation earlier about, having these talks and these discussions, especially over love and even the psychological perspective of it. And he's like, "What, honey? You are an expert. You know a lot about these topics because you study them and you teach them." So we're going to be talking about a lot of the stuff that I know based on the things that I've read and been educated in. And then I also do photography. So I love shooting, been shooting since I was 10 years old. And I have, two kids, one grown. I'm gonna be a grandmother. She's pregnant, and then I have a 5-year-old little one that is put to sleep soundly right now, so we can do this.
So yeah, that's pretty much us so far in a nutshell. And then us as a couple, we've been going out together for the last 10 months.
Going on
Going
11.
on 11 almost. We're very close. But almost 11 months now that we've been together. And part of why I wanted to start doing this in the first place was because we wanted to not only learn more about love, but express the love that we've been feeling between each other. And just also to use this as a way to grow stronger together and build our foundation and our bond a heck of a lot stronger than it already is. And it's pretty strong now, but it can always use improvement the way I see it. It's always like being the student of learning. You can always learn more until we're no longer here. So that's what we plan to do. This show was created because we would not only like to share our expertise because we are experts. I will say it. I will own it. I will manifest it. We are experts. We will also share our experiences, the things that we've gone through. We will also invite on expert guests. Um, we will bring tips, advice, that sort of thing, and we will discover love together. I mean, we're gonna cover it in all facets. So that's the best part about what we have going on with the Unwrap Love show. So if you haven't already, guys, and we're working on our script to like start the show and end the show, so it's gonna get better. Trust me, it will get better. Um, but we would like to, if you're not already subscribed, head over to our new YouTube channel. That is at Unwrap Love on YouTube. We've been posting a few videos already over there. Some of our live streams are already going over there. Um, my vision is ultimately to stop streaming to my personal stuff and just create everything to go to the show. So even on my LinkedIn stuff, that all that will be just built around the show. So, I mean, what I do will be any tutorials and stuff like that will be separate apart from what we do here together as a unit, as a team. So that's what the vision is ultimately. And we're working on a website, a blog. Our podcast will be launching very soon, which will have a lot of these episodes that we're doing here live, and they will also carry exclusive audio only interviews and conversations that will be going there. And then we've also started a Facebook page if you want to follow there at Unwrap Love Show on no at Unwrap Love on just Facebook. So, and then we also have a Facebook group which we are launching as well called Love Talk. We will go in there and we will have more in-depth conversations, advice, places for people to come and share and ask for advice among the community. So that's where we're headed. And we will have it going very soon where everything will be shooting on all cylinders. But this is just, again, it's a process to get everything going all at once. And we've been only working on this for a few weeks. So,
Yeah, and then he left out that we have a TikTok.
oh, yeah,
So yes, I am talking. Kenny, thank you for that.
she does.
um, So we do have a TikTok that I've been managing, and it's at unwrap.love. So I'm trying to post like different questions in there, different love sayings, different things about love, but a place that people could actually respond to. And so that would give us feedback and ideas to implement into the show and into the podcast, and maybe even find people that want to come on and be live or join the audio. So.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, that's the whole purpose of what we're creating. And one of the things that I do want to mention though, um, your volume is better than Kate's volume. She knows how to project well.
I do. It like comes from deep within my soul. It just exit my body. Yeah.
That means I got to step up my volume game. I might just also have a controller here where I can kind of like just boost myself a little bit more, if that helps you guys.
He's more soft spoken than me.
I am. I truly am. But yeah, that's the whole idea of what we wanted to do with the show itself. Um and oh my, see what I mean?
No, I tone it down a little bit with him. I don't project as much around him. I don't need to. So I save my voice at the house.
There you go, guys. See? She does what she needs to do. Okay, there we go. Okay, there you go. That's better. All right, but the biggest thing that we want to accomplish with this, like I said, is to start building a community so that we can help other people, and we can also, make it where we can not only learn, like I said, for ourselves, but we can bring people in the community as well to like be a part of this journey about love. I mean, it's going to start with just two people, but it's going to be more than that once we start getting going. And I think there's so many people that are interested in talking about love, sharing their experiences about love, learning about love. I mean, it's just everything about what we're talking
And
about.
we're about to get to the love day. I mean, Valentine's is coming up.
Yes.
So we're like hitting it right on time. We'll be talking about Valentine's Day. And I even actually, when I was anti-love back when I was single in my 20s, I threw an anti-Valentine's Day party. So I was totally against it. But now I'm like all about it. So I understand both sides completely, not wanting to be around it, and then now like totally consumed by love. And so it's very different on this side.
Mm, absolutely. And what I love about what we're going to talk about tonight. So to get into tonight's topic, I think we covered all the YouTube stuff and everything for you guys. Let's just say hello to a few people. Mr. Dan Ross is in the house. Thank you so much. Miss Sarah Kawamura watching over on Facebook. So we're getting people on Facebook apparently. Of course,
Good.
Mr. Randy House, Mr. Kenneth Denner Jr., Miss Yolanda Chin, and Mr. Dean Bay. Thank you guys for tuning in so much. All right. Jumping in the topic of this evening is one that we both have lots of opinions, thoughts, and insights on, because we're not sitting here if we don't. Okay.
Absolutely.
And that tonight's topic is navigating the modern dating world. So it was one of the things that I kind of did not really have a clue about when I got into the idea of wanting to date again after I had got out of a 20-year plus relationship and was single again and in my 40s and not having a clue what was about to happen to me. I think that I don't think that's the case for. I mean, it's different when you've grown up into that sort of culture, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But you know, coming from a point of where you spent so much of your time in one relationship and with one person, and all of a sudden now everything is start anew, and you have to figure it all out. I mean, it can become confusing, overwhelming, scary at points. So um, for me, it was it was a good thing and a bad thing because it taught me a lot. Taught me a lot about myself. Taught me like how to communicate with women, how to communicate with people in general. So I did take a lot out of it, but it was quite the process that I had to go through to find this beautiful woman that's right here now sitting next to me. So there you go.
Yeah, so dating. Okay, so dating can be very tricky and different depending on your age. So I think when you're, in your 20s, you're looking at people that are still trying to figure themselves out. So that's one of the first important things is before you want to flip to that screen
Oh
for
yeah,
me?
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
let me go. This is what I kind of had to work on though. This is kind of
Okay.
cool.
So when you think about navigating, the dating world, it's based on when people that are dating, they're different age groups. Okay. So when you're younger, you're still trying to do what? Figure out who you are. So
Absolutely.
the younger you are, you might not quite know exactly yourself. So it's real important. And even people our age don't always know yourself and your identity. Sometimes it gets lost with previous marriages you've been in, relationships you've been in. So before you can ever even imagine dating, you need to know yourself.
That's
Okay.
right.
So you've got to know yourself. So one thing that I recommend, it's something that I get my students to do because I tell them like you go through these stages of your personality development. Yes, you start learning your personality as a little kid, but it really starts formulating when you're a teenager. So Eric Erickson is a psychologist that came up with these psychosocial stages of development. And so it's either you learn your identity or you have role confusion. And a lot of people have role confusion throughout their entire life. Sometimes they don't know themselves. So I try to encourage my students, hey, take this test. It's the 16. I like it because it's free and it's the 16 personalities test that you can do online. So you take the test and you start figuring out who you are. So after you take the test, you read through it. You might agree or disagree with some stuff. I tell them to really look at it, analyze it, try to figure yourself out, and then start thinking, daydreaming, put that phone down, figure out yourself. I mean, too many people, even as adults, as soon as they're bored, they pick up a phone. Standing in line at the grocery store, instead of daydreaming or thinking, they pick up their phone. At a
Mhm.
stoplight, they pick up their phone. Everybody just picks up their phone to mindlessly scroll through things instead of ever self reflecting, knowing who you are. And if you don't spend that time figuring yourself out, you're going to be confused. And if you're confused, how in the heck are you going to go find somebody to date? If you don't know who you are, you're going to get lost in what somebody else is. And then when you start saying, oh, okay, you're this, yeah, that's what I want. And then you start dating somebody that you don't even know yourself about. And then you start defining yourself based on who they are. So then you become a totally different person for every person you date. So it's real important. That's the first step is knowing
And
who you
yourself.
are.
That's right. And as Mark Manson says, it is define your values. Right. I think that goes into knowing yourself. And honestly, what you said, Dan, a few seconds ago, sexually, that's what we're talking about. Know yourself mentally, physically, emotionally. All three of those things are really what it is when it comes to knowing yourself. Because when you know these things, you know your values, you know the things that you like, they're going to lead into what we're about to mention in the next tip we want to give you guys. But knowing yourself is a big thing, even if you're not looking to know dating. We're giving dating tips, but know yourself is probably the first thing that you should really concentrate on, because that will set the tone for the rest of your journey on when you're about to start dating out into the world.
Yeah, and if you figure out who you are and you're like, "Man, I cannot stand myself. Ooh, how can anybody like me?" And you figure, "Oh my gosh, there's things about myself I don't like." Well, then that's the point of change. That's the point where you say, "You know what? I need to figure out what to do to like myself and then love myself." Because you have to. You can't love anybody else unless you love yourself first.
That's
So you've got to figure out yourself and then love yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And that's going to lead you into going into the next step, what we want to talk about. and that is make your list, right? I
And
am
he's good on this one, and then I'll
I'm
tell my side.
I'm a big proponent of this, okay? It was because I did this, is because I started to really find focus on what I was searching for. So I got to step one. I knew myself. Like I knew myself pretty well. Like I knew what my values were, what my value hierarchy was. I knew what I wanted out of it. But then I needed to be more specific. And this was because my coach Melissa Houston, we went on our show this Saturday, and we want to talk about one of these things. I had to like define almost to a specific point of what I was looking for, um, because then it narrows the search for a lot, especially in the online dating world, um, where you have to scroll through so many profiles, look at so many pictures, read so much about people. The more you know about yourself, um, and the more that you know what you want, as in what you're looking for in a partner, it helps define your search. It's like you creating your own little search bar. You pretty much write down everything you put in there. Find the keywords that are specific for you. If it's dancing, singing, writing music, dancing in the rain, I mean, be specific with what you want. I think that's the key to really, really finding what you start eliminating what you don't want, and that takes away a lot out of your time. And saying, okay, I don't have to look at this, I don't have to look at this. You can start using search filters on some of these dating apps to say, I don't like this. You can go in there and say, if you don't like glasses, guess what? No glasses. If you don't like dark hair, guess what? You don't like dark hair. These things will start filtering, and you start using technology and algorithms to start pushing more of what you're looking for into your feed. And what you find is, guess what, you find beauty, you find things that you really want, that you're attracted to, that really find a lot of the connections that you're looking for and the things that you're specific about. I mean, man, I will always tell people, make sure you write down your top 10 things. Be specific, even if it's like 5 sentences of what you want for each specific thing. Man, it makes it so much easier. And there's one thing about she wants to share about a list as well that I'll let her tell about. But um, I'm just saying, as a guy and someone who really wanted to define what he wanted, making a list was a big game changer in my search.
Okay, so when it comes to your list, I had a list too. So when we eventually like figured out we had lists, we're like, "What? You have a list? You have a list?" Yes. Okay, so not everybody makes a list apparently. But I had one and mine was way longer than 10. So I had like I was very specific and I had a lot of stuff. Now, I knew I could give and take in some areas, but there were some that I was like, "No, I'm not gonna give and take in certain areas." And one of them was going to church. Like that was a must. Because I had been in previous relationships where they didn't go to church with me. And it was something that I do. I go to church on Sundays. And so I knew that was a value and it was something that I really wanted, somebody that was a strong believer. And so I had that on my list. And so, but I had some other stuff too. And I had this long list. One of the mistakes with a list, okay, so the list is really good, okay, but a mistake you can make with the list is sharing it too early. Okay, so never, ever share your list to somebody that you're talking to. Because what I found when I was dating is a lot of guys would be like, "So, what are you looking for in a guy?" And so I would be like, okay, I guess I got to share my list. And so I would share some of the things on my list. And they're like, yeah, that's me. That's me. That's me. And then all of a sudden they were performing and they had this big act and this show on. And yeah, it was just a performance. So you don't share what you're looking for. And that was one of the first things that I really loved when I was talking to Gabe, because it was like a week went by and 2 weeks went by, and he never asked me, "What are you looking for in a man?" He never asked me that question. And I was like, so he just wants to get to know me and let's conversate. And so he was one of the first people that struck me that didn't do that. So I wanted to know more. And so as we got to know each other, I was like, check, check, check. I kept checking everything off my list. And I was like checking, and then all of a sudden I was like, that wasn't on my list, but I like it. And so I was finding stuff about him. Like, one, I had, okay, they don't have to be super good looking or hot. I'll settle for okay looking, just as long as they have a good personality, I think was on my list. And I was like, damn, he's hot. And so I was super attracted, and I was like, okay, plus, 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 plus on this list. And so it just kept checking. So I knew what I found was a treasure, and I wasn't going to let him go.
Yeah. And for those who are like, well, what do you do then if you ask? Do what any person would do. Ask questions. Like that is how the reason I didn't have to ask what she was looking for in a man, um, you know, the thing that really made me understand what it was that I wanted and what I was searching for. I had a specific mind. I had a specific question in my mindset when I was dating, was that could this woman like answer the questions that I just put my interviewer hat on. I've done it so many times. I've been doing it for so long, um, that it was just like I didn't have to ask her like, what are what are you looking for in a man? My thing was I started asking questions about her. What's your favorite color? Do you like roses? Do you like dancing in the rain? Do you like I wanted questions that fit along the lines of where I had made my list and things that aligned. And then easily I could say, okay, she checked off that box. If not, I didn't have to sit there and tell her specifically that I needed these things. I was just inquisitive enough to know, and that's the thing about having these kinds of conversations with somebody that you meet and you potentially like and can see the potential in somebody, is to ask questions. Like she said, even Sarah said it. That's probably she said it too, and it was very much of what you were just sharing, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Was
What?
that's the fastest
This
way
way
to
to
get
get
manipulated by
manipulated.
telling it too fast.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right.
But I wasn't, I guess I didn't have a lot of experience with some of the dating now in my 40s after a marriage and being with somebody. I was with him for 12 years. And so I had been out of the dating scene for a long time. And so I was kind of just getting my feet wet with it and like checking to see what was out there and having conversations. And that's, I had to learn through a little bit of experience. So yeah, then I realized I'm not ever sharing my list, like never again, because they can fake it.
Yes, but thank you, Sarah. And that's about to where we're going next, right? So once you have the list and you have the things that you want, right? Number three, of course. Oh, there it goes.
Be
Be authentic.
authentic. So after you know yourself, you can't be afraid to share the good and the bad. That's the thing. A lot of people are so afraid. Like I have a mental illness. I have bipolar. And I know people that have mental illness and they won't tell people that they're dating until like a year later. Like they'll wait for a year, sometimes longer. They won't share what's really a part of who they are. And, they wait because they're so afraid to be vulnerable. They're too afraid to be completely authentic. They are afraid that, if they reveal too much of their flaws, that they're not going to be liked anymore. They won't like me. And so they're not 100% themselves. And so that's what you have to be authentic if you want it to be real, if you want it to be honest, true love.
Because I'm going to tell you what, if,
Mm.
if you go into with false pretenses, eventually, maybe not right away, but eventually the truth will come out. You know, those things show up. Your personality is who you are. So guess what? If you say you're one thing, but your actions say another, they're just going to prove us that this person is nothing like what they said they were. And then what does it make you do like a liar? Then it erodes any possibilities of having a deep, lasting trust between the two of you.
Yeah.
And that sucks because you might like the person, but things like that make you question. And if it's been something in your past that you've dealt with, you're not going to want to have to deal with that again. You're going to be more likely to say, before I go any further invested in this, let me
Mhm.
just confront it. And if not, let me just get the hell out of here. because
Yeah.
I'm not going to set myself up for another long-term deal of dealing with a lot of the same issues and traumas that I've dealt with in my past. I am someone different. I know myself, and I got to walk out of this.
Yeah, and you got to be real about it, even your past. If something that you've done, if you've been to prison before, you've been to a hospital before, for mental illness, or whatever it is, you have to be honest with what's going on in your past, because it could, affect your future. It could be something that your partner doesn't want to handle. So I was always upfront with my disorder. I told him within a few days. I didn't tell him on day one. I waited at least a few days. I tried to tell him over the phone. So I was talking to them about it, never through text message or message. But I would tell him, and some of them would be like, oh, okay. I think I've heard of that before. All right. And then they ghost you, and that's fine. Who cares? Or they would be like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly like that. I dated 3 people that were bipolar before. I know that." And they would, pretend like they were all knowledgeable about it. So I got all different kinds of responses. My best response though was from Gabe. So he had the most amazing response, and he was like super proud of me of everything I've accomplished, because I have this disorder, and despite it, I don't let it pull me down. I fight through it, and I am right now working on my master's degree. So he saw that, and he complimented me about it. And then the next day he was like, "Look at this book I bought." And he texted it to me, and it said Loving Someone with Bipolar. And so he was determined to read about it and become knowledgeable about it, which most people don't. They'll act like they know about it, but they will never educate themselves about it. They'll just assume.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, I mean, and again, if you really, really like that person and just being authentic in who I was, I really wanted to know more about what her struggles were, like what she would go through, and then if I was going to be around for the long haul, also wanted to educate myself and know what I was in for. Like I mean, it's just easy to say, okay, um, you know, that's fine. I know somebody with it, but it's something else to go understand what it actually is and to honestly learn more about it and be prepared. I mean, I'm prepared for anything that might have to come my way. But that was me saying, okay, I love this person. I want to be around. I'm going to get ready for it. Nothing might ever happen. Guess what? But you know what? It's better prepared. It's better for me to be prepared this way. So I was like, this is an easy buy. This is an easy thing for me to do. It's
Yeah, it
just
made me fall for him even faster. I was like, oh my gosh. Nobody. The only other person that told me they got a book and studied it was my stepdaughter, who passed away with COVID. Um, and she was the only one that came up to me and said, "Mama, I researched it and I read it, and because I complimented her, I was like, 'Thank you, honey, for being there for me despite the way I'm acting right now.'" And she's like, "I wanted to know more. I wanted to know how to be around you, and how I could help you. So I read about it." And I was like, "Oh my gosh," it broke my heart. I was just overjoyed when she told me that. We lost her to COVID a couple years ago. But yeah,
mm,
so she was the only other one that I know of.
yeah. But hey, look, when you care, it's not even an issue. It's a to me it was a non-negotiable. It was something I had to go do. If if I told her like, hey, like I've told her, diabetes runs in my family. Like if I ever were to get it, I mean, she would have to know that that was part of it, and she's like, okay, I'm fine with it. I'll do what I can to um, make sure that you stay healthy and that you don't, take care of
Yes.
yourself. So maybe it doesn't affect us so much. And it's the same. It's vice versa. We help each other out. That's just part of it. When you love somebody and make that, you want to make that commitment, you do the things that are necessary and that you're, nobody tells you to, you just do it willingly. So,
Absolutely.
That's, just be authentic, be who you're, and, we talk about it all the time here when we talk on these live streams about being authentic, but that's part of it. It's just not just with yourself or a complete stranger, but somebody you have the potential of spending a super long time with if you're lucky. So,
And thank you, Sarah.
yeah,
Thank you, Sarah.
thank you so much. And that leads us into when things don't always work out that way. And so you figure somebody might not being authentic with you.
Yeah.
What's the next thing you do?
How do you spot them? Okay, so this is a good one. This is a good one. So red flags. Oh my gosh, they are out there. But you have to know what to look for. And if you don't know who you are and you don't know what you're looking for, you're probably gonna miss them. So it takes knowing yourself and knowing what you want to really look out for them. Because, for example, if somebody does something that seems like a red flag, but you make excuses for it, it might be because you don't have a list or you don't know yourself and you're just lonely and you just want to be with somebody. So you'll accept second best. So you have to really know what you want, love yourself, to be able to really see the red flags. And a lot of them you can see on your own. You don't really need anyone else to help you. But sometimes you do. Sometimes you
You
do.
do.
So it's good to like ask if you're not sure. So there's all kinds of them. One is like, can I go home with you? On date one. You
Right.
want to go to my house after this? Moving too fast. So a lot of relationships, they'll start and it seems great because you're talking on the phone, everything's connecting. And then the first date, they want to take you home. Or they want to go to your house and be like, well, can we just hang out at your house? Yeah, I remember one of my family members, he was new to dating and he went out for drinks. It was a first date. And the woman told him, do you want to hang out at my house? After this, because it wasn't real late yet. And he goes, okay. So he went to go hang out at her house and he went and sat on the couch. She was like, I'll be right back. She comes out of her bedroom butt ass naked and was like, okay, you ready? And he was like, what the heck? And he like got up and ran out of her apartment. He was like, that, He called me and told me, and he was like, what is going on out there? He was so scared to date again because he didn't know the terminology hang out actually means come to my house and have sex. So you have to know what some of the terminology is these days as well.
Right. But on they're spotting the red flags. Um, sometimes they're very obvious, right? Somebody lies to you, right? Somebody does something that it does not say their actions don't coincide with what they're saying, right? There are things that people do all the time. And sometimes people look for the most minute things in red flags. Like, again, it's all about preferences, right? It goes back to what you're searching for. And like I said, know your list. If someone's always saying, hey, let's just stay at home and watch a movie, like when you're dating and don't want to go out, I mean, come on. I mean, that's not going out if especially if you're somebody who's adventurous and wants to explore and you find somebody who's like, "Hey, well, I just like staying at home and watching movies and that sort of thing." Like, okay, that's a red flag for you. That's for you to say, "Okay, here's another one. I want somebody that has an adventurous spirit and this person apparently."
They're not matching your list. So that's just, I mean, maybe they're a homebody and they're meant for somebody else. So, it's your exit ticket to be like, okay, maybe this isn't working, the chemistry just isn't there anymore. So you exit. You don't continue if that's not something that you want on your list because that's how it's going to be for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So and then another too, like a lot of times people will talk too much negativity about their ex. So they're like, oh my gosh, my ex was crazy. My ex did this. My ex did that. When they go into too many details and they're always talking about how crazy their ex is, especially if they have more than one crazy ex, that's a red flag because there's a common denominator there. So you have to like take that into consideration too, because everybody makes mistakes. Even in my past relationships, I wasn't the perfect one. He wasn't the perfect one. We both make mistakes or we both grow apart. It's not, you can't just put the blame on just one person for everything.
Yeah, and again, just examples. Like I said, there's plenty of them out there. If you're a cat person, you're not going to get someone who loves dogs. Like that's just it's probably not going to work. Could it? Yeah, maybe, but like if that is what your preference is, it's probably headed that you're not going to work out. Okay, just the same thing. If you're a recovering alcoholic and she's someone that drinks all the time, or you're the person that drinks all the time, and she's that's not going to work. Like those are red flags immediately. Like if someone says I don't like smoking, but I vape. That's smoking. Come on, I mean, just
That's still
okay.
smoking.
You're
That
not
is
gonna.
still smoking. I went out
Yeah.
with a guy that did that to me. We were talking and connecting, and everything was great. And he, on his profile, said he didn't smoke. And then he was like, oh, my buddy told me I better tell you. Um, so he said I better tell you that I vape. And he was like, vaping isn't the same thing as smoking. And I was like, I don't know. That kind of sounds the same to me and looks the same. It's just like doesn't smell as bad, but it's still to me smoking and it still bothers me. So yeah, smoking and vaping is the same. So be honest about it, like on your profiles.
Exactly. And these are things that you do when you set up your dating profiles, right? You share the things about yourself that you're looking for in people, right? You generally talk about yourself, but then you also have the key elements that you're searching for in a potential partner. So these are the things that you got to put out into every one of your dating profiles, whether it's, hey, uh, I don't like pets. I like pets. Do you have kids? I don't want kids. There's just so many things that you have to speak about up front so that people don't get the idea or get confused and saying, well, you didn't have it in there. So I didn't realize you didn't like it. If you don't like marijuana, guess what? If you don't like drugs, don't date somebody that does drugs. Like, come on, look for the
Yeah,
red
you turn
flags.
yourself into like getting with someone with a red flag if you're getting with somebody that doesn't agree with the same things that you agree with. But other red flags too could be little things like they only talk to you at certain times of the day. So if they're only talking to you, during the morning time and then like after 5:30 p.m., like it goes shut down in silence and you don't really hear back from them or text from them. And then, you don't hear from them on the weekends, but then all of a sudden during the work week, you hear from them, so that could indicate, I don't know, maybe they're married. So like little things stick out if they don't send you messages at certain times. If they're sending you tons of messages and they're impatient with you about like, oh, well, you haven't responded to me in like 10 minutes. Why aren't you responding to me? And they're impatient and wanting you like your complete attention 24/7. That's a red flag, a controlling red flag.
Yeah,
So you got to look for little signs that they might try to control you, tell you what to do, make you feel bad. Any of the gaslighting stuff. Like if any of that pops up at any point from the beginning conversation up until you start seeing them in person, these are red flags while you're dating.
exactly. So being controlling, manipulative,
Yes.
codependent. Um,
Another one is super sensitive.
yeah,
So if everything you say, like, oh my God, you hurt my feelings, and this is a guy talking, and you hurt their feelings about everything, it's like you're walking on freaking eggshells. Uh, run. Okay. So do not be
well,
with someone who is
let's
super
just put it that way.
sensitive.
Let's just put it this way. It's not for you. Now you
Yeah.
might have someone
Maybe
again
somebody
who
else
also
likes
likes that.
that.
But I mean, the red flags is simply just saying if it doesn't fit your needs and what you're looking for, then it's probably not going to work out. Like
Yeah.
those are the things. Like I don't want to always say that somebody smoke. Two people that get together and they love to smoke.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
hey, have at it. If you're in love and that's what you guys enjoy doing together,
Then smoke
absolutely go.
together.
Yeah, secondhand smoke each other to death. I don't care what it is, as long as you guys are happy, right? I'm just saying for you as an individual, when you're out there on you on your dating profiles and you're looking for people and you just want to find what matches with you, be weary of the things that that you don't compromise on your values again. That's where you start letting the small little red flags slide past a little bit, and you're like, it's okay. Like we had talked about this, and like one of the things was being spiritual and going to church. You start dating someone who doesn't, say they believe in God. Well, then you're gonna have an issue there almost from the get go, and it's gonna be hard. And you can't just say, "Well, maybe I can just bring them slowly over to Jesus and understand." You you're not guaranteed that's gonna happen, and you might be spending the whole time, or a lot of the time, and a lot of the energy in that relationship trying to do that. Like, I know that some people say they can't control love, but you can control sometimes the variables that go into it. So I'm just saying be wary of those things and pay attention, and again, don't compromise what your values are, because that's a big, to me, that's a big red flag already.
Yes, and thank you for that, Sarah. That is actually something we talked about in trauma bonding.
Yes.
So when they compliment you, when they love bomb you, when they're super nice to you, and then all of a sudden they criticize you and put you down, and give you a bad compliment or dig at you, then that's a repeated cycle that people start all of a sudden becoming emotionally attached to. So it can get worse, and it can become violent, physical, and definitely emotional and mental abuse. So absolutely. So you
And
look at that in the beginning too.
yep, and that almost perfectly segues us into the next thing, which is safety first. There you go.
Yes. So you need to be safe. So one of the things that I recommend if you're a female, guys, maybe you want to do it too. There are some,
Yeah, it's
interesting
fair.
women out there,
There are.
that you might want to be safe from. But I do recommend getting a Google number at first. So you don't have to always, share the Google number, but the Google number will prevent them from using your phone number to look up your address. Okay, so if you give out your real phone number to people, they can look up your address, and you don't know what kind of people you're talking to online, especially if you haven't FaceTimed them yet and you haven't seen their face, which that's another thing that you need to do in the
That's a
beginning.
nut. Yes.
Is always do a virtual date first before you meet them physically. That way you can rule out if they're a catfish. You can also sometimes you can like look at their mannerisms and stuff on a virtual date and be like, yeah, maybe not. And so you can weed them out faster that way too if you're trying to go through and find the one for you.
That's right.
But yeah, I recommend getting a Google number so that nobody can look up your address and you can stay safe. Now, once you start trusting them and you develop that relationship and you're honest and say, hey, the first number I gave you was a Google number, I really have a different number. And if they're like, what the hell? Okay, don't give them your real number. Okay. But if they're like, oh, I totally understand, like, I'm glad you were safe with me, and they have a good response about it, then you can share your number and then move forward from there, but never ever ever meet on a date at a house. Okay,
Yes.
so don't go to house dates. I know we were looking up, I don't have the
Well,
stat in
we got
front
a
of me.
statistics I'm going to
Yeah,
share with you guys in just a second.
on the
Uh,
house dates.
yes, but and it deals with more economic issues than anything. But pretty much to what your point is. Oh, it's
Meet
all,
in public.
yeah. Meet at a public place is probably going to be your best and safest bet, especially on a very first date. And you, even though you might be getting to know this person, how really well do you know them? I mean, again, it's always a crapshoot. It's a 50-50 proposition on whether or not this person is saying who they say they are. So yeah, it's just one of the things where I say safety first. Um, Meet in a public place. Number one, a lot of these dating apps, now allow you like to continue the conversations when you meet them through the dating apps if you want it to safely and stay anonymous without sharing your phone number or doing a face call on your phone or anything like that. It's done through the app so that you still have the convenience of being safe, and if anything you can always delete that person, block them, and you're done. You don't have to share that information.
Yeah, absolutely.
So being safe is
That's
very.
what I did to him at first.
Mhm. You did.
Yeah, he asked me for my number and I was like, let's keep talking through the app for a little while first. Cause he shared his number with me and he's like, this is my number. And I was like, thanks, but I'm not ready to get off the app yet. Like, I want to get to know you a little bit more first.
Yeah. And like I said, she asked me why. I was like, well, I'd already shared my number on the live stream plenty of times. It was out there for the public. So, plus, the way I see it, I'm a public persona. I try to live my life in the public eye. I mean, it's just the way I've always continued to do things, whether it's through my work, my children, my life. So I've always been pretty much an open book. So I didn't have an issue with it. But if she did, that's fine with me as well. I mean, I'm like, I totally understand. I'm just telling you
Yeah, I don't like
fr-
to put my phone number out
from
there.
I'm just being open and authentic about who I am, and you want to learn more about me.
Not my number or my
No.
address.
Well, never my address, but I did put my phone number
Well,
out
they
there.
can get it from that because I got yours from your number.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I have like 5 or 6 different addresses, so you'll have to at least stalk me 7 places before you come and possibly find me. So I'm good with that.
Yes, and Sarah had a good point too.
Yeah.
Go back up to her comment. I don't see it anymore.
Oh, okay.
Scroll back up.
Let's see.
She said, do not let them pick you up. Drive yourself just in case you need to leave. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So meet there. Always drive yourself. Some people take an Uber too so that the date doesn't see what kind of car they drive because
Right.
they're that, safety precautious. But at least drive yourself so that you can drive. And also another tip too is if you like to drink and you do go out for drinks, I wouldn't recommend it on the first date, like go for coffee. But if you do end up going for drinks at any point, never always keep an eye on your drink. And I would say, if you know your limits, but if it's one drink, only drink one. If it's two, just drink two. My limit was two. And back in my 20s, when I was actually doing online dating in my 20s, so 20 years ago, and I remember meeting a guy who ordered us drinks, and I went on, we were at a bar for our first date. And I had two drinks, and then he wanted to order another one for me. And I said, no, thank you. And he was like, what? Why not? Drink, just come on, just drink one more with me. And putting on the pressure. And I was like, no, I'm fine. Two is fine for me. And he's like, I don't get it. Like, I'm buying them for you. You can have another one. It's okay. And I was like, no, I'm fine. Like, I'm good. And so, he kept drinking and then he leans over the table and he's like, kiss me. And I said, no, thank you. And then he wanted me to go to his house and like all this stuff. And can you imagine if I had had too much to drink? He probably would have kidnapped me and taken me somewhere. I don't know. So you have to make sure that you do not get drunk on a date. Drink coffee if you need to, but don't drink too much whenever you're first getting to know someone.
Yeah. I mean, come on. In today's society, with all the kinds of designer drugs and things that can easily be slipped into a drink, it safety just in terms of like you going out and having a good time. It's okay to say, you know what, you can go out later afterwards, after the date, or wait till the next day. Doesn't I mean, but is it that important for you to start drinking and drinking and drinking before you know it, lose your wits about you, and you end up,
Mhm.
I don't know, you next 48, or you, even worse, things that can happen that happen all the time to people like to especially women like that, and they go into bars and stuff like that when they're meeting on a date. So it can be a sticky situation, but hey, take care of yourself first. It's what I say.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
all right, that leads us into our next one, which
Mhm.
is what we were just talking about. Well,
Have realistic expectations. So don't expect to fall in love like me and Gabe did in 2 weeks. No, it usually love takes longer than that. But love is different for everybody. Some people might, some people fall in love pretty quickly. Others it takes a little bit longer, and that's okay. But have a realistic expectation that the person you go out on a date with may not work out. Don't fantasize and be like, oh my God, this is gonna be the person I marry, like right away, because you could be let down, especially if you're having good conversations on the phone. You meet in person, and the chemistry might be there for you, but may not for the other person. So it could be one sided, and it's okay. There are other people out there, or maybe they like you more than you like them. That happened to me before. I've been on both sides of it. And so I didn't like to go. So I just would tell the person, like, I'm sorry that I didn't feel the chemistry. It wasn't there, or, I'm kind of dating other people too. And some
Yeah.
guys are turned off by that, but it's okay. It's okay to date more than one person at a time when you're first out there, and because you're looking for the one that's going to match your list. And it's okay to do that. Well, some guys are very possessive, and they're like, no, I only want to talk to you. I don't want you to be talking to all these other guys. Red flag. Okay, so I had that happen to me a few times, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to just settle for you. I'm talking to other guys too, and
Yeah,
just being upfront about it.
absolutely. And yeah, I same thing. I mean, as far as what your goals are, um, it doesn't make sense to put all your eggs in one basket. So like being able to talk to multiple people, that's the whole point of the chase of doing it all, like going through the whole process. Um, so be realistic that you're not going to meet the first person in the first conversation that you have. Um, some people, again, it's probably the exception to the rule, but some people are able to do that pretty quickly, and for others, it could take years. But
It took me about a year.
yeah, so sometimes it takes a while, and just oh my, I love you, Dan. No, but just when it comes to dating, it's okay to talk to multiple people.
I'll get you a basket, Sarah.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
could, yeah.
Yes, it's okay to talk to multiple people. Sorry for
Yeah.
interrupting.
No, it's okay, baby. It's okay. But it's okay to talk to multiple people. I mean, you're single. You're still searching for what it is you want. So it's okay. And again, somebody that might again check off a few of might check off a few of the boxes for you, right? Maybe there are things that don't align. So you guys don't have a really good level of communication, right? They're just things that change inside of each person. So, yeah, reading a profile is one thing and going through and liking their pictures, but then you get in there and you start talking, you go, oh my God, this is not going to work. It's like somebody scratching
Yeah.
their nails on a chalkboard. Okay.
If you don't like their voice, move on, because
Exactly.
that's what you have to listen to all the
The
time.
time.
So
Exactly. So,
yeah, so you have to like and love their voice. And like, yeah, and then their face, if you can keep looking at it. Like we stare at each other all the time. It's
time.
fun.
It is. And some people, and for some people, like they can't, they don't, they can't stand doing that. Like really, some people like it. That creeps me out. You guys do that. Oh,
Yeah,
that works for us.
we can look at each other for hours. We'll just lay in bed, like, sometimes we wanna have a lazy day, and we'll just, like, lay there and stare at each other, and then we'll talk a little bit, and we stare. When we talk, we always make eye
Contact.
contact. I'm not used to that, so, it's great. I love it.
But when it comes to being real, just understand that not everybody's going to have the same expectations that you are. So, like, say you go on a date, you hit it off with someone, you think this is great, and then you go home and you like text them and say, "Hey, when can I see you again?" And all of a sudden they're like, "Well, I didn't feel the same vibe." Don't be
No,
disappointed. Just say,
no.
"Okay, that's part of the process."
It's part of the process. Not everybody's gonna like you, and you're not gonna like everybody else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And it's hard sometimes. It is hard to feel that rejection, especially if you like somebody. But just know that maybe somebody else they're meant for somebody else.
that,
And you're meant for someone else, and that other person could be the perfect person for you.
exactly. So, don't feel bad about it. It's just part of the process. Uh, you know, don't think too much into it. Don't think it's a it's something wrong with you. It's just maybe that you didn't connect with the right person, and that's all it really boils down to. So be okay with it and say, this is just part of it. And the easier you come to understand that, the easier you'll find dating, online dating, especially a lot easier and a lot manageable, because then you don't have to feel like you're emotionally getting scarred every time a woman tells you or a man tells you this is not just going to work for us. Like
Yeah.
so, but
Because a lot of people are scared to keep on dating when that happens. And they're like, you know what? I've been hurt too many times. Well, if you look at it from the other side and look at it from a different perspective, it's not going to hurt as bad. And it's a lot easier to move on.
exactly. So just very much like Sarah says here, it just gets you one step closer to the real one.
Yes,
There you go, the
absolutely.
silver lining. Look for it that way. That's the way you have to look at it too. I mean,
Hmm.
again, you will know you'll know when you know. I mean, trust me. I didn't know until I met her that I knew that okay, fire, all the stuff that you see, the sparks, the fireworks, everything, all the stuff that goes off in your head that you can imagine, and you're like, this is it. This is the one that makes sense. All the other ones were just trial and error, and that's what dating. That's what really modern dating is trial and error. Like how many times, and it goes back to knowing the things about yourself and your list and just being authentic, and then making making the necessary revisions to what it is that you want will also lead to you, almost focusing exactly for what it is. And guess what? When you start doing those things, they just show up. Like it's like, wow, that's there. And you realize it a lot faster than just going through and saying, Dating doesn't work for me." It's not working for you because you probably haven't done a lot of these things that we're speaking about. Like you've probably gone into it without. It's like anything. You gotta have an approach and a strategy when you're going into the online dating world these days, because it will turn you. Trust me, it will turn you on your head. You will be
Hmm.
left scratching your head, like going, "What the hell did I get myself into?"
And a lot of people just give up. A lot of them do. They might give up for a while. I know I even
I
did. I
did.
was like,
I did.
I'm not going to do this for a while. Like, I just, it gets like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting the same kinds of guys. And, this guy did that. And, I found out he was manipulative. And, you just go through the cycle of these guys. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe I need to put it on the shelf for a little bit. So I went offline for about 7 months. And then when I went back on, I found Gabe within, I think it was about maybe a month or two that I had gone back on, is when I found Gabe, where he found me. We found each other. But I had to take a break for a little while, and that's okay. Sometimes you need to take a break and focus on something else and then go back. It might not be a consistent dating every single weekend until you find the one. Sometimes you put it on hold for a little bit, and that's okay too.
Yeah, and much like you, Sarah, she just makes a mention here. I've done all of those, but it's not working for me. But that
Hmm.
doesn't mean it won't work for me. I
Right.
won't give up because I know it's all
Amen.
timing, and it's
All
true.
timing.
You
It
know, and
is.
I've done both. I've done it in different ways. I mean, I met somebody that
Mhm.
I knew on Facebook. I mean, so there was a connection there. I met somebody that I didn't know at all that I got introduced to. Then I went on my own an online date. I've gone through pretty much all the stages that you possibly can as far as like dating, and uh, they all have their flaws. They all have their good sides, but it's all going to ultimately come down to you being able to find exactly what you are looking for in that person, and very much to what you're saying, it's the timing of
It's timing.
when it all comes together, because we were both in a place where we felt like we were ready to give it up for a while, and life said no. I said no. You guys are going to meet, and this has to happen.
Yeah,
So there.
and yeah, so I forgot, I just lost my thought. Um No, okay, I got it back. All right, so when it comes to timing, We've talked about it before and we're like, oh my gosh, I love you so much. I wish that we had met sooner. Like, it would have been cool if we had met in our 20s and we had, all these babies together because I know we would have had a lot of babies because I love kids, and so we talked about it, but it probably wouldn't be what it is now. Even though we wish we had met sooner, we didn't meet until I was 44 and he was 48.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so now I'm 45 and he's
49.
49, so we're getting a little older together. But it was in God's timing. It wasn't ours to come up with. It had to happen when it happened. It's not something that we could have probably controlled on our own to meet. We wouldn't have met in the same time in life where we are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, all goes to timing, but doing all these steps though helps, right? It's not a guarantee, but nothing is guaranteed in love. I'm sorry. You can try everything and have all the perfect scenarios you have in your mind and think you have everything set up, and it might not work for you. And then it's stepping into the right moment that everything aligns. And when that moment happens, you'll know. But you'll have all this stuff already that has prepared you for that moment. Which is why I say go through a lot of it. Go through, like, what we say, baby, you got to kiss a few frogs to find your prince.
I kissed one that kissed like a lizard. That one
Yeah.
wasn't very
Yeah.
fun. I was like, what the heck? I've never kissed anyone like this before, except for when I was like a little teenager.
Yeah, exactly. But that'll lead us into the last thing that we wanted to just mention here, and that's reflection. Like, to look back on it all, like the whole, that's the whole, the journey itself is what the process and the process that you go through is what dating is all about, you know?
Sarah said, girl
Oh my
face.
God. Oh God.
Maybe it was the same guy.
Oh my God. Would it be a small world? Who knows? But I don't know. But yeah, I mean, when you go out and you do all these things and you date with somebody that doesn't work, it's okay. Reflect on it. Think about it.
Yeah, think about
Th-
what was good about it, what was bad about it. Like, what could you, maybe there was something you could do different the next time, or, what is it that, so like for me, when I started meeting people in person, I was like, okay, yeah, that was kind of a waste of time. I should have like met them, maybe did a FaceTime first because no way in person. They didn't really look like their picture, or they had different mannerisms, or like just different things that I probably wouldn't have agreed to a date in person had I not done a FaceTime with them first, a virtual date. So that was something that I changed when I reflected. So you've got to look at the things that are working and not working, and that'll help you on a future date. Like if you are one that likes to drink and you got a little tipsy on a date, like learn from that and don't do it again, because you can be easily swayed and manipulated when you've had too much to drink. So just learning from the dating experience and reflecting on it will help you for future dates.
yeah. Just remember, hey, you're worthy of love and connection. Don't settle for anything less than what you deserve. What it boils down to, and have fun and enjoy the ride. I mean, like I said, this is the journey of it all. Like this is we laugh about it now and we go back and reflect on the bad things the bad experiences that we had and the things that were kind of cool about the whole process. But, ultimately we're like, okay, it was fun going through that. And we're lucky that we are at
As
this
it led
point.
us to us.
Exactly. And that's the
That was
key.
the
Like,
positive.
because there's just so
We
many.
had results by following these steps.
And exactly like you said, and when you reflect on things, just hey, if it's not working out and it's frustrating, it's okay to take a break from the dating apps. If you're starting to feel overwhelmed, like I said, you can get in over your head. Like it's okay to step away for a while. Like, okay, maybe I need to go back to step one. Maybe I need to work on myself and know myself a little bit more. Like these are things that I've done as well. When I got frustrated, it's like, well, let me work on me again. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
and again, when you're out there going out into the dating world, hey, sometimes again you don't know exactly what it is to be out there and say some, friends or family or people that have been dating before or out in the dating world and maybe been at it a little bit longer. Hey, talk to them, seek advice. I mean, counsel and fellowship are big ways in helping you maybe get a better understanding of what it is that you're looking for and knowing yourself and these sort of things and what to look out for. I mean, I wish I would
Yeah,
have
get
more
help.
information. Yeah.
Yeah, get help if you need it. Find friends that can. And here's the thing about compliments. Gabe gives them to me all the time. I give them to him. And what a compliment does is it, and this is something we even talked about in church, the pastor talked about it, is a compliment can reduce your insecurities. So when people compliment you and they encourage you, it helps you become more confident in who you are. And so sometimes if you're just all by yourself and not around anybody else and you're trying to figure out yourself and you're trying to love yourself, but you don't hear any compliments, nobody's really encouraging you, then how do you really feel about yourself? So if you surround yourself, like I joined before I met Gabe, like it was probably almost a year before I met Gabe. I joined a community group with people and they went to my church, and so we all got together and we just started like having these get-togethers, and we would talk about all kinds of stuff. And through getting to know them and them getting to know me, like they were constantly like complimenting me and telling me, you know what, you're I've never met someone that has bipolar disorder that functions, the way that you do, and you're actually going to school, and so they were boosting me, and I needed that at the time because I had been down for so long. I'd been in such a deep depression that I needed somebody to compliment me and to encourage me besides just my small immediate family that was around me. I needed something else. And sometimes friends can do that, groups can do that. And that really boosted, myself and knowing who I was, and just praying and everything before I met Gabe. So it was like I was preparing myself for a relationship before it ever happened.
Mm, wow. And like I said, in my own personal journey in getting to this point where I found the love of my life, right? Um, again, I found a lot of the frustrations and a lot of the things that really made me question whether online dating and dating in general was for me. Like because I felt like I was overwhelmed from the get go. I've shared the story here before, but I had, again, I had a woman who was like ready to take me out and date me, do all these other stuff, and I was just trying to wade myself into the water. So, you go at your own pace, and like you said, you follow all these steps, you follow a lot of the tips that we've given you. It's just going to make the process easier. Like I said, it's not guaranteed that it's going to work. It's not, life has a lot of terms, and
Don't sue us if it doesn't work.
don't- yeah, please don't do that. That was
But
that.
I pray it does because it can. I
Yeah,
believe it can.
but we have a few stats here that we're wanted to share with you guys when it comes to like what it is in online dating. So, well, let's see. Let's this one pull up. I'm not, maybe not. Oh God.
Well, I think I remember that one. It's like 47% of people say that online dating is a lot more difficult today than it used to be. Um, so it's a bigger challenge. That's the one that you keep passing by, but I don't know why it's not popping
Oh, it's locked. Hold on, my bad.
up.
Technical glitch. There it goes.
Uh-oh.
There you go, folks.
Yeah, 47% of Americans say dating is harder now than
It
it was
was
10
10 years
years ago.
ago. Think about that. I mean, come on. If you've been dating out there for a while, how hard must have been back then? And then now you get into this world and technology. And I mean, there's
Mhm.
probably close to like 20, 30 different dating apps that you can find. I mean, back then it was maybe a couple like eHarmony or Match or what's a few of the other ones like that I know. What's that one? Okay, Cupid.
eHarmony, yeah. Well, eHarmony and Match.com. I know those were out back when I was 25.
Okay, so they've been
So
around for
45. So at least 20 years ago, that those were out because I got on both of those, eHarmony and Match.
Yeah. So now there's everything. I mean, you got cute lap what is it? There's one like cutelatinmen.com or whatever dating app you can go find. Of course you got all the big ones. You got Tinder, you got Hinge, you got Bumble, you have oh gosh, what are some of the other ones? Well, Match was another one that you could still get on. There's
Mhm.
like a couple of them that are really big that you can go through, and they're pretty much very general on how you get started in the dating process. And they have some that are becoming um, more specific.
Yeah,
Like
to even age groups,
yeah,
to what you're into, to race. Like, yeah, they're becoming more and more specific to what you want. There's even some that you can take this entire personality test to find matches that are for your personality, but they cost money. I wanted the free one. But yeah, you can definitely there's a lot of catfishers out there on the free ones. Probably maybe on the paid ones too, I'm sure. But you have to kind of go through those because there are, and we had a whole show on catfishing too. If
but
anyone
I
wants to
like
go back and
data.
watch
I
that.
like Sarah. Excuse me. I like Sarah's comment.
Do you remember the dating videos? That was pretty rough. So, like the dating shows, are you talking about the dating shows that they
Well,
would
no,
show online?
so even back further then, before you had like online stuff, there was actually like places you could go get dating videos where guys or girls could go record their pretty much their video bio, and you could go in there and look based on, hey, are you looking for XYZ? They had it like categorized,
Oh.
and you could go watch it on a VHS tape and say, hey, yes.
I didn't do it during that time.
But they did have them, and you know, and then of course she says, those are the reasons I never went back to the dating apps. They said no one
Don't
matched
match
me.
me.
I felt like an alien.
Oh,
Oh
you're not an alien, Sarah.
no, but hey,
I
look,
like you already, and
look,
all I see is the cat.
yeah, that's right. But listen, here's another stat: individuals between the age of 43 and 58 found that success most success with online dating, with 72% stating that meeting on a dating app led to a romantic relationship. So there's hope for you, Sarah.
Yeah, 72% said that they met a romantic long-term relationship, 72% on a dating app. So I used to think when I saw that too, that stat, I was like, wow, because a lot of people make it seem like it's impossible. Like, wow, you met it on a dating app. But then I've started talking to other people, especially I'm on like a lot of online groups. And so a lot of people say that they met their long term partner on a dating app. Like that's becoming a norm now.
Yeah, and look, and we talked about safety, and this is one that we both had a question mark over our head when we saw this stat here, but this one kind of made us think as well. So it
Your
says,
dot got in the way.
oh yeah, I have it right here if you want to read it. I'll move my dot out of the way.
Yeah,
There you go.
move that dot.
There you go. Dot's out of the way. All right. So it says,
Inflation has influenced how people choose to date. So, according to a Singles in America survey by the Harris Poll, 7 in 10 Americans are choosing more inexpensive activities. 55% of people say they would host a first date at a house, at their home, and 44% are open to a virtual date. So I think virtual dates are good. They are cheap and free. And it's an easy way to first meet someone. But I didn't realize inflation got in the way of further dating. Like, that's pretty sad. Well, actually, there was one guy I did date who we went out on twice. We were gonna go out a third time. And so we were getting ready to go on the date and everything. And he texted me and said, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to cancel tonight. And it's been great getting to know you, but I just realized I'm just too broke to keep this relationship
yeah.
going. I don't have enough money to, and so I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to end things. And I was like, what? Like he's ending it because he's broke. He's acting like I'm a gold digger or what? So I texted him back and I was like, I'm sorry. Like, if it was too expensive to go eat at Texas Roadhouse, but like, we can go to a park or something if you just want to get to know me more. and it never got delivered. Like, he literally sent that and then blocked me. Like,
But
I guess he was
again,
embarrassed.
well, that's,
He didn't have money.
the thing is, you can also be creative. Like you could be creative and not have to
Yeah.
be blow a ton of money to go out on a date.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean, and the thing is, even in today's society, I mean, maybe it's not implied, but back a couple years ago when it was the normal thing for a guy to ask a girl out and he would pay for the whole meal. Like nowadays, I was reading a few different articles when we were researching this topic about like women offering to pay their share. Like if you make that the thing in up front, say, hey, maybe if we meet, whatever, and we have a couple drinks or whatever, we can split the bill if things don't go our way or what.
Yeah, but how many women are gonna be
Yeah.
receptive to that?
I
Because
don't know.
there's a lot of women online that are like, if the guy asks me on a date, he needs to pay the whole bill. Like, they're still very old school about it. But there are some that will say, no, I want to pay more my portion. That way they don't expect anything.
Yeah,
Um,
that's where I'm coming from. Not so much that I'm, expecting that I'm cheap or she's a gold digger. It's just meeting
yeah,
halfway in the
no
middle.
expectation.
Yeah. So
No
no
expectation.
expectations at all. I think that's what it goes to. Like have realistic expectations about things, and express it in true honesty. Like, hey, I wouldn't feel comfortable paying for the whole meal if we're gonna meet. Are you okay with that? Maybe, like you said, maybe there's women that are old fashioned. Like, hell no, I won't go out with you. Scratch them off the list. You just literally crossed off the red flags and stuff because then you can see if somebody has an open mind to it. Like
Yeah.
you'll be like, oh, she's open to paying for her own drink or whatever. Okay,
Mhm.
maybe it opens your eyes a little bit more to like what the dating world is now and how, again, we have we not total equality, but maybe equality when dating. I mean, I don't know. It's a touchy go feel subject, but it's hard.
I like your McDonald's comment too. It was
Oh, I must have missed that one. So Sarah says I saw one post about McDonald's isn't even inexpensive anymore and considered everything.
funny.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
glad you didn't take me to McDonald's, honey.
Oh no,
100%.
no, no, no.
No, he took me to a
Yes.
romantic Italian
I
restaurant
made a
with a
mistake though. I
skyline.
made a mistake though because I said I'll make the reservations. Right? I was like, okay, don't worry, baby. I'll get I'll make the reservations. We'll meet there. So we were like, okay, we had this nice reception in the parking lot. We kissed. We it was beautiful. And we got to the stand and we were both giddy and happy and I was like, hey, a reservation for two. And I told them my name and they're like, well, we don't have anything for you at this time. And I was like, wait, what? And I said, can you sure? And I said, well, I got an email confirmation. I showed them the date. It was like a month later.
Later. He scheduled the
Wrong
wrong
day.
month.
So they wouldn't have had space that day. They were luckily they were gracious enough to take us. But if
Yeah.
they hadn't had the space, I would have been like, oh no, this is is this like a red flag? Like, oh my God, he can't even make a reservation. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but see, and it wasn't a red flag. Like, I didn't freak out or be like, "You idiot! Why'd you get the wrong day? Like, you're such a moron." I didn't say that to him. I was totally chill with it and laid back, and so I'm sure that helped his anxiety about the whole situation.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. But they were gracious and kind, and we still had a wonderful night, and we haven't looked back since. So it's been that, but it was just one of those things, like when you have an interest in somebody and you just get so excited. Sometimes it can be that you overlook the, the fine details, and I was excited. I was like, she said yes, okay, let me make the reservations now, and I
Yeah.
was like, typing in as fast as I could, and couldn't realize that I'd put the wrong time and the wrong day. So it was okay. It worked out. Be part of our story. It's always a cool story to tell anyway. But yeah, I mean, all of these things that we've expressed tonight uh, were things that we've experienced on our own firsthand and really wanted to share for anybody who might be getting out into the world. I mean, people are getting divorced all the time. They're widowed. They're going out into the world again for the first time on their own. They've been single for a while. I mean, there's just so many factors, but you know, finding a partner and dating, um, we all at some point want to cross that barrier again to go out and do it. Even some, there, I don't know, maybe it's an old school thing, but I know like my grandmother, after my grandfather passed away, she had no interest. Um, but I think not all people are built that way. They want companionship, they want fellowship, and they have to go back out into the world. And, I can't imagine I mean, I was 45 when I started this. I can't imagine like being 75 and going, how do I get on Tinder? What am I supposed to do? What the hell swipe right mean? I mean, it'll throw you all off. I mean, it's just how technology is, and who knows what it's going to be like in 5 years, um, where we are with dating, online dating apps, AI. I mean, it's just all going to convolute the whole process even further. As much as it's going to make it advanced and more technologically um, easier for people, there's still going to be ways to like cheat the system. There's always people looking for it, you know. And it's like the conversations that we've had. If you want to go check it out on our YouTube channel, uh, Unwrap Love. We talked about catfishing and just the ways that things are shifting nowadays. How when you're talking about dating virtually and just getting to know somebody, it's becoming increasingly more difficult sometimes, and you have to use a lot of the things that we shared tonight. That'll again help with the
Yeah,
process. It
and I
won't
think
solve it, but it'll
yeah,
help.
I think another thing maybe we could I don't know if we'd have a whole show on it, but maybe add something else to it is how do you set up your profile? So like on for your dating profile, what you put on your profile matters. So maybe we could talk about
Well, I
that
think
too.
I think that's what I want to do when I want to see and reach out to a dating expert who does this and
Mhm.
like has people that they coach through setting up profiles and stuff.
Yeah, that would be good.
Um, to walk you through the process because again no, not that we know we need to know you for any longer,
We
hopefully.
don't to help every
Thank you. But
no.
going forward though, I mean, there's going to be people that are again jumping back into the dating scene, and
Mhm.
anything helps, any information, just whatever you can learn um to expedite the process of getting out there dating and hopefully falling in love and finding that right person for you. I mean, it's people tell us all the time, you guys give us hope, and it's well, listen, we went through the process. We went through each of us. We had to go through and find the wrong people and spend time with different kinds of people to understand what it was that we truly wanted,
Mhm.
genuinely in a partner. So,
Help me keep from looking lame.
yes, I'm sorry.
Well, no, yeah, well, we're gonna help everybody like with
Yeah,
profiles.
we want to.
Um, and we'll talk about personally what we had on ours, and then I tried to like to go back and screenshot Gabe's because I loved his profile, but he went off of the dating profile so fast after he met me, so it was gone. And then I didn't screenshot mine. But I can kind of remember what I had on mine, and I did screenshot like one section of his that I still have, but
Yeah.
that's the only part that I kept.
Well, of course, I knew what I wanted, and I found it, and I was like, "What the hell I need this for?" Right? I mean, it's the whole hey, burn the ships, man. We're not going back. We're going full steam ahead. We're gonna either gonna make it or we're gonna drown. So that's how it was for me, and I was like, here it is. This is it. I knew at that point on that yeah, I don't need anything else, and
And
uh,
we'll be at one of our further shows, we'll be talking about that too. Is like, how do you know? Like, how do you know when to go from the dating, and figure out, is this really the person for me? So I think we have a whole show for
yeah,
that
we have a
one.
whole show for that lined up. So moving forward,
He actually said that, Sarah. He was like, I'm not very lucky at a lot of things in life, but I hit the jackpot with you.
that's right. I said, you know what? I don't win money, but I am lucky in love. And that's all that really mattered. I hit the
Yes,
jackpot.
lucky in love.
So,
Yes, that's what it was.
so I was like, this is exactly what I needed for me. And here I am, like gleefully sharing all this information with all you guys. So that kind of tells you where we're at in life and
Yeah.
how much we do truly love each other and have, a mutual connection. So, oh yeah, that's another thing we do. So if you're not into that, just turn yourself away and we'll spare it for you. All right, folks. I think that'll wrap it up for this episode. Again, thank you so much for everybody who's tuned in, guys. If you want to go check out again some of the episodes that we've already done, some of the lives we've already created.
Or if you missed any of the beginning of this, you can go back and watch.
That's right. It'll be on our YouTube channel where it'll sit permanently. And that is www.youtube.com/@Unwrap Love. Again, you can check out all our social medias as well. I'll post those in the show notes. And for anybody who wants to reach out, who might have any questions, seeking advice, want to share a story, you can also email us at unwraploveshow@gmail.com. I'll post that up as well. So
yes, or you can also visit us on TikTok at unwrap.love.
there you go. So I think we covered everything. Oh yeah, Instagram. You can follow us over on Instagram as well. That is at Unwrap Love Show over on Instagram as well. So
We haven't posted anything yet.
not yet, but we're
I'm
building.
working on TikTok right now.
We're building all the channels. You guys will start seeing it. I'll start posting it on a more frequent basis. But we will be back here Thursday evening. I will post the event and share it out on all our socials as well for anybody who wants to enjoy it. So there you go. And Yolanda, just like thank you again. Thank you, Yolanda.
Thank you, Sarah. Have a good night.
That's so
Thank
sweet,
you, Yolanda.
for checking us out over on YouTube. We do appreciate it. And other than that, guys, anything else you want to add, sweetheart?
As always, I love you.
I love you. Okay. All right, folks, live, love, and serve like no one else, and you will absolutely change the world around you. So until next time, have a wonderful evening.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.